We're back once more. I'm still doing that. Hey, Zach Rules. Still doing that. Still doing this, but hey, Zach Rules, how you doing? Ignore my both 14th and 15th month sub anniversary that triggered at the same time, and I don't know why, but hey, Twitch is back up. I don't know if anyone knows, but this morning, for me at least, a large proportion of the internet went down, and one of those websites was in fact Twitch. So I was concerned that I wouldn't be able to do this stream today, that I would not be able to inflict my presence upon you, that you would not be able to see my gorgeous face, hear my sultry voice, all of that good stuff, that in no way, shape, or form do I believe. But we're here. Twitch is back up. We can do this show. Episode 43, for those of you wondering. Episode 13 of this season. Of course, these seasons don't have a fixed length, so the fact that I number these episodes is purely for organisational and logistical purposes. It's not any meaningful, like, hey, we've got so many episodes left in the season. And as far as I'm aware, Onyx Path aren't going to cancel me, so I'm getting renewed for another season. That was a lot of complete nonsense. I apologise. So you all know me, maybe, but recap for new people watching. Unstable Deus, Twitch new would right if we couldn't see you. That is correct, Unstable Deus. You are always a drop of optimism and reality in this strange platform, on this strange platform. Seriously though, go out and write. Capitalism could probably stand for it. Stand to cover the costs. Anyway, I'm not encouraging you to write. That's a joke. Please don't. Riot in game. There we go. That's what I meant. Anyway, yes, so I'm Ryan or Comrade Bubbles. This is my show. Please feel free to ask questions relating to role-playing games, whether running or playing them. Ideally focused on Onyx Path product lines, game lines. I'll answer the question to the best of my ability, and if I cannot or do not know the answer, I'll try to point you somewhere that you can find the answer out. However, should also point out that I am not an official representative of Onyx Path. I am a fan with a platform. This is all content creation, community content creation. Sorry, it's not gonna appear in a published book as far as I'm aware. Although I believe there is a rider that they can include community material in published supplements if they deem it as high enough quality. So that's the dream, right? But I do have muscle spasms or tics, which can lead to twitching of any muscle group in my body, but particularly, obviously, you can't see anything below my neck, really. So if it does affect the muscles of my neck, my head can jerk from side to side. Oh, it can affect my hands. I have tremor anyway, but it can affect my hands and arms, which makes typing difficult. But I'll try to convey that. But if it affects the muscles of my neck, my jaw, my tongue, I can stutter. I can stutter anyway, but it can make my stutter worse, and I can slur as well. So apologies in advance if that happens, because it is not the ideal viewing experience. Do also struggle with multiple trains of thought. So I will try to finish one before going on to the next. If I see you have raised a point in chat or asked a question, I'll try to acknowledge it for continuing my current train of thought, and then I'll move on to your interaction. Wow, according to the Twitch view count, 4 people have left during my intro, so that's cool. Obviously, more here to watch D&D be played, not D&D be written. Okay, as usual, I realise I don't know why I record these for YouTube, but I record these for YouTube. Monday meeting notes, best place to go for any... in advance, I have a fan pointed directly at the side of my face, so if I fiddle with my hair, because I have a lot of it, that is why. The fan is just blowing into an annoying place. I need to move it. It's probably going to get annoying. Do apologise, but equally, I'd rather that than I melt, really. It's very hot and humid here in the UK, especially for me. I don't deal with heat well, or humidity for that matter, so it's horrible right now. I don't like the summer. Yes, so Monday meeting notes, best place to go for anything about how the how Onyx Path are doing, really. A quick note to say, I'm just going to check to see if this holds true still. If you go to the... hang on. Before I tell you a falsehood, I just want to check something. Yes, so how I used to get these links was I would go to... I read them in advance, and then, I should keep them, but I don't, because I read them on my tablet, not my desktop. If you type in Monday meeting notes and click on the Onyx Path Publishing return, You won't find anything. Well, I can't currently see any Monday meeting notes later than the 24th of May. If you go to the Onyx Path website, however, it is on the front page, and obviously highly recommend following Onyx Path on Twitter or Facebook or the Onyx Path Discord server, which Nightbot will probably drop links for at some point. I don't know the command personally. I think it's links, but I'm not sure. For the Monday meeting notes, as there is some weird website issue going on where you need to know exactly where to look for them. Anyway, so unsurprisingly, a lot of the Monday meeting notes update is about the current Kickstarter, which is for Exalted Essence. Exalted Essence is presented as an alternative to Exalted 3rd Edition's core rulebook. It's 250 pages, I think, so it's like 400 pages fewer. And it's designed not to replace it, but to work alongside it as a more kind of rules-light alternative to the 650-page brick that you can, use for 3rd Edition Exalted. Right now, it's going strong, smashing through stretch goals. It's at nearly $250,000 out of a $35,000 goal. So it's going well. As with Onyx Path, all Onyx Path Kickstarters, sections of the text are released throughout the campaign, and I believe it's charms this week, which is like the supernatural abilities that you can do. If I recall my Exalted lore. The next stretch goal working towards is a bag, like an actual physical bag for it, so that's pretty cool. There's also stuff on the Onyx Path Virtual Gaming Convention. I'm going to drop the link for that in the chat right now. That link will take you to the games listings. If you don't want to play games, but just want to play, want to watch panels or stream games, if you go to the Monday meeting notes, scroll all the way down, you'll find two graphics with the panel schedules on, and so the panel schedules are all on one graphic, and then the streams are all on a second graphic. The streams are going to be on third-party channels as well as Onyx Paths. So Dork Tales, Vorpal Tales, and Plastic Age Plays are the ones off the top of my head. Let's just see if there's any more info on it in here. Dork Tales, Vorpal Tales, Plastic Age Plays, and Occultist Anonymous as well for Chronicles of Darkness games. I'm running a game for that, as some of you may know. I mentioned it last time. I'm running a Scion 2nd Edition game. I wrote the adventure live on this very show last year. Good lord. Still a couple of spaces left if you want to try Scion out. It's on this Friday, because the convention runs this Friday through to this Sunday. It's on this Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, I think. Because I'm pretty sure it's 12 p.m. Pacific. It's 8 p.m. my time, anyway, which is definitely 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight. As I said, still some space. Check it out if you want to. You don't need to. You may notice that the games have different pricings on the games listings. That was left up to GM, SG, ST, etc. discretion. I assure you that the vast majority of the ticket price goes to charity. Before it comes through to us, that deduction is being made automatically. So if you're worried about that happening, any dodgy stuff happening, you really do not need to worry about that. It is all being handled before it gets to us. Then there's some cool Trinity Aberrant art, because Trinity Continuum Aberrant is releasing on Wednesday. Those who do not know, Trinity Continuum Aberrant is superhero stuff using the story path system. Traditionally printed versions of the main book and the screen, as well as the print-on-demand versions and PDF versions. And there will be more stuff announced during this week and the con detailed sales and surprises, one of the things I'm excited about is an announcement regarding the They Came From Classified book. So far, we don't know what the classified word is. It's redacted. Sorry, it might be They Came From Redacted. I can't remember. But the next They Came From game is being announced, or elaborated upon, I should say. So that's pretty hype. The They Came From games are story path system that evokes like B-movies. So far there's horror and sci-fi, I think it is. So we should be all good on that front. More art. The Kickstarter's covered. All of the links are there as usual. All of the, or most of the actual plays that went up on the, the Ice Path YouTube channel recently. They're all there. Keep scrolling. Those are podcasts. Sorry, my head tickles my nose. Aberrant Convention's already covered. I believe that there isn't really anything of note for Scarred Lands and the project timeline that's been updated recently. M20 Lore of the Traditions has been updated, is now in manuscript approval, so that's cool. And Saints and Monsters for Scion is now in post-editing development, so that's really cool if you're into Scion. And that's really it, apart from Aberrant obviously being going on sale this Wednesday. Visual Watch Compiled has had the print-on-demand proofs, so that's exciting. That's a Scarred Lands product. I know my product lines. So hopefully those are all fine. I think those are all the notes that I have to get through. There are the links. Go and follow all of those social media links. Sorry, I'm kind of keeping an ear out for post. My partner can't answer the door today, so I have to be on post duty. So if I have to like mute the mic and dash away, that's why. My partner's in business calls all afternoon, so I'm keeping an eye on my phone in case she hears it and I don't, as well as try to keep an ear out for the door. Anyway, that's all the notes. Recap. So what is this? What are we doing after 12 minutes? Today we're continuing work on Peoples of the Snow. I realise this should actually be player people. Again, recap of important terms. Glossary is always important. So, back to basics. Scarred Lands is a alternative setting for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, heretofore referred to as 5e. That uses the 5e OGL, or Open Gaming License, that allows publishers, developers, writers, authors, whatever you want to call them, to use the 5e SRD, which is the System Reference Document, to power their own games. The SRD provides a core rule set which you can build upon, adapt, modify however you will. As long as you do not reproduce anything that is not in the SRD, you are golden. So, Scarred Lands uses that as the rule set. Scarred Lands itself is Onyx Paths, one of Onyx Paths now. 5e settings with its own spells, player options, magic items, classes, all of that good stuff. Within Scarred Lands, there is a northern continent. There is the northern continent of Fenrilik, and last year, when this season of the show started, it was to tie in with the Frostlands of Fenrilik release. Frostlands of Fenrilik being kind of, hey, you can now use Fenrilik in your Sluritian Vault materials. Sluritian Vault being the community content program for Scarred Lands, which allows you to make your own Scarred Lands material and sell it for 50%, I believe it is, of the royalties. But it's all hosted and all of that good stuff. You literally just have to write the material. You know, the layout, editing, formatting is nice as is art, but you can then upload it to the Sluritian Vault and people can buy it and you can get a percentage of the profits, as I said. So this is to tie in with that. This is, as I said, episode like 13. And over the past 13 episodes, we have covered each of the core classes. We've got a barbarian subclass, a bard subclass, etc., etc. This document is getting incredibly long. I am not looking forward to editing this. I'll tell you that for free. but yes, we've covered all of the core classes, right? Including Warlock, which there was a lot there. Still, this manipulate wind one for the wizard is a bit long, but there we go. But we finished last stream with the wizard's final 3 class features, and we're now done with the core classes for now, anyway. I will obviously be going through editing and tweaking them when the time comes, when I get time to do that. I'm still aware I have to upload the Inkborn stuff from the previous season. I'm just one of those people who has so many jobs on the go at one time that I barely have spare time, is the problem. And I do all my editing in my spare time. You can see the problem there. Suffice to say, if you're interested in the Inkborn supplement, it's on the way. It's all in the template. I just need to edit it and do art stuff, and then it's fine. But obviously editing is going to take time. So today we're doing spells. Now, spells are a tricky part of the 5th edition design of the 5e design, or 5th edition design process. In that, unlike classes and people options, ancestries, racial options, depending on what game line you're looking at, spells are difficult to balance because they are intended to break the game rules to a certain extent. It's difficult to kind of say exactly what. Okay, so I guess I should explain how D&D Magic works actually. I'm going to say vanilla 5e because there are optional rules, obviously. In vanilla 5e, a lot of magic comes under what I believe is known as Vancian magic, in that spells are the same every time. You cast a spell, it has the same effect every time you cast it. You can't modify it in any way, and it's prepared ahead of time as well. You wake up in the morning at the end of a long rest, or whatever, and you decide, I want to cast the spell today. Usually more than one spell today, but for the purposes of this example, you wake up, you decide, I want to cast this spell today. So classic one being Fireball, right? I think pretty much everyone knows the Fireball spell. It's ubiquitous with D&D at this point. It's prepared in advance, and you cast it. Vanilla 5th edition assign, and by extension card. So the SRD, I should say, rather than the 5th edition. The SRD uses a spell slot system. Each spell is assigned a level from cantrip, which are functionally level 0 spells that you can cast as many times as you want. All the way up to the powerful level 9, the mighty level 9 spells, which are, reality changing, like Wish, which you can do theoretically almost anything with. And depending on your class, you will have varying access to spell slot levels. Barbarians, for example, in the SRD, have no access to spells. Wizards, as you might expect, have wide access to spells. And also, depending on your class, you have a discrete spell list. Wizards can't, by and large, cast nature-based spells, but druids, which can, or who can, cannot cast divine spells. There's obviously some overlap, and a lot of it is based on the theming of the spell. The SRD and 5th edition kind of did away with power sources, which has its pros and cons. But regardless, each class has its own spell list that they can prepare spells from. Those spells are divided, as I say, between cantrips and spell levels 1 through 9, and your class level determines what spell slot levels you have. So you might have the ones I always remember are level 3 characters who are full casters. I'm not going to go into that distinction, but there are half casters, full casters, and the warlock's weird. We don't talk about the warlock. Full casters at level 3 have 4 first level spells and 2 second level spells. Or 4 first level spell slots and 2 second level spell slots, more accurately. So hopefully that kind of gives you a grounding for how. And to cast a spell, you pick a spell of a slot that you have prepared. You pick a spell that you have prepared or known, and if you have a spell slot if you have a spell slot of that spell's level or greater, you cast that spell. You expend that spell slot. Spell slots are an expendable resource. If you don't have a spell slot of that spell's level, you can't cast it. Unless it's that level or greater. You can cast any level spell in a higher level slot, so you can cast the first level spell at the 5th level, for example. Some spells have bonuses for doing so. Not all spells do. But I hope that's. I mean, it's a bit rambly, but I hope that was a decent enough explanation of how Magic works in the SRD and 5th edition in general, and Scarlet Lands in specific, to kind of give you some meaning behind what we're doing today. As you can see, I've got the document open on the spells section. We're not doing just summon elemental steed. I'm going to aim for 5, but we'll see how many I get done in one stream. Morning, afternoon, evening, apply liberally as needed. I would like 1 morning, please. Just morning all day. Hey, Travis. Right. Yeah, I should warn you, Travis / Plastic Cage Plays. Okay, so people who don't know, Plastic Cage Plays in chat right now is the product line manager, developer in charge, whatever, for Scarred Lands. So if I don't know the answer to a question, they probably will. I did a writing submission yesterday. I meant to email you about this. I used a different email to my usual email address, so if you get that through, it's not someone pretending to be me, it is actually me. It wasn't my best submission, but it was weighing on me, so I kind of sent it off just to clear my mental brain space. Yeah, so hopefully that'll filter through to you at some point. And then if it's not good enough, in like 6 months, I'm just going to send you sections of this document, and we'll see how that goes. Right, so yeah, I'm going to do a couple of spells today. Don't know how many, and of varying levels. But I'm going to just put, for now, Cantrip, 1st level, 2nd level, and Summon Elemental Steed will be a 3rd level Conjuration spell. I don't need to put spell because this is the spell section. That needs to be normal. Right. So, spells are presented alphabetically, but I'm going to do it power level first and then alphabetize after, just for my own organizational sanity. So, as established, a cantrip is a spell that you can cast at will as many times a day as you want. Cantrips don't have you don't have a spell slot called cantrip. It's just as many times as you want. So, ideally, when creating spells, what I try to do is avoid reinventing the wheel. If a spell exists that does what I want it to do already, I'll use that spell, obviously. But there's nothing saying you can't do something similar. If a spell exists that almost does what you want it to do, but doesn't quite do what you want it to do, that's fair game. Obviously, this being Fenrilic, I'm going to try to theme it around the polar wastes, but we'll see how well that goes. And I'll cover what this means when it becomes relevant, which it's going to be shortly. I'm going to be honest, it's going to be shortly. Guiding Stars. Divination cantrip. It's not relevant. The SRD, by extension, Scarred Lands, divides spells into 8 different schools of magic. Let's see if I can do these off the top of my head, shall we? I won't. I'm just showing off for no reason at this point. They won't be in alphabetical order, but let's try. Let's try. Abjuration involves kind of banishing and locking. Evocation, manipulation of energy, usually for elemental effects, but also healing spells or evocation spells. Transmutation, altering the properties of one thing into another thing. Necromancy, sorry. Death magic. Divination, obviously. Seeing the future. That's 5. I've got 3 more. Come on, I can do this. My mind has gone completely blank. It doesn't help that I'm doing this on stream. Usually when I'm not doing it on stream, I get all 8. I mean, there's one wizard tradition per school. So, and I've read the wizard tradition several times. You'd think I'd be able to remember them. I'm going to give up in like 30 seconds and just cheat and then pass it off like I know what I'm talking about. You know, I'm just going to do that anyway because there's explanations of the different schools of magic, which is going to be way better than anything I can do off the top of my head. You might hear it referred to as winds of magic because that is how kind of it presents in the default setting. But here is the official explanation of the schools of magic. Abjuration spells are protective in nature. Some of them have aggressive uses, magical barriers, harmful effect negation, etc. Conjuration, I think you can probably figure out what that's all about. It's about conjuring things. Pulling things through the planar barriers and whatnot. Divination is revealing information. Enchantment is affecting the minds of others. Evocation is manipulating magical energy, as I say, elemental or healing, usually. Illusion, exactly what it sounds like. Fun fact, enchantment is the one I forget most often. I always assume they're an illusion for some reason. Necromancy, energies of life and death. And transmutation, changing the properties of a creature, object, or environment. I should also say that necromancy isn't usually viewed... Spells with the necromancy keyword aren't usually viewed as evil per se, just some evil creatures, people, are more likely to use necromantic spells in an evil manner, let's say. A good person can animate dead for good reasons, right? Anyway, so that's what the schools of magic are. Spell list. Something I forget to do a lot when making my own spells is denote which spell lists the spells appear on. I need a spell so I can copy the that works. So I can copy the format from it. Right. Copying from the SRD sucks. We're gonna get rid of these. You know what? I'll keep that because that's just useful to have. And a lot of spells are going to be one action as well. 11. And then I'm going to just copy this. Yeah. Line return or space if you prefer. God. They don't actually use the word return anymore for enter. I mean, I know why it's there, but still. Right, there we go. Whoa, that's a raid. Hello, welcome for the raid. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for the raid. There we go. Is that okay? That emote doesn't show up very well in dark mode, but for people on YouTube, that's what it looks like. It was only when I started streaming myself that I realized how important kind of emotes are, like emote backgrounds can be sometimes. But hello, welcome to the show. For those of you who don't know, this is a like how to write content for your Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition SRD powered game using Honest Path Scarred Lands game line. Going into the theory of the thing. Obviously, feel free to ask any questions or chat amongst yourselves. Yeah, that's it. That's all I can think of. If you need any bona fides, I'm never sure how to pronounce that. I've been playing 5th edition since it came out in 2014, which is a long time ago now. Now I actually put a date to it. Oh, good lord. Anyway, back to this. Spell list. Let's figure out what the spell does first, and then assign the thing. Although it sounds very much like a druid spell. By drawing upon the power of the stars that shine endlessly during the long polar night, you can X. What can we do? I like to give. You'll have noticed that I like to give narrative to everything. That's just personal inclination. So right off the bat, I cannot do anything that adds a D4 to ability checks or attack rolls, because that's what to attack rolls and saving throws. Because ability checks is guidance. Sorry, yes. So D4 to ability checks is out, because that is the guidance spell. Maybe simply advantage on Wisdom Survival. Yeah. Find your way unerringly through the snow-covered wastes. So casting time, 1 action, range, touch. So things have range of self. You can only cast them on yourself, or they're centered on yourself. Some of them have like self and then a radius. Touch. You have to actually touch the recipient of the spell effect. And then like 5 feet, 10 feet, 15, 20, 30, 60, so on and so forth. Up to, I think some of them have a range in miles, but I could be wrong about that. This is very much a druid spell. Rangers don't get cantrips, although I put it onto the ranger spell list. I kind of want to give it to more than one spellcasting class. What have we got? Bards, maybe? But I don't know if that's my bard preference showing through. Sorcerers. Again, maybe. Wizards, likely not. Actually, wizards, yes. Let's say druid and wizard. Because anything in this kind of setting is going to have like a nature theming anyway. In this supplement, sorry. So I can, and as there are no formal like power sources anymore, I can give wizards nature themed spells. So cast time, 1 action, range, touch, components. Let's just have it as a. Let's go with somatic and material and shard of glass, ice, or similar. Hey Ari, which class am I working on right now? I've finished with classes. Now I'm working on spells. You know what? Instead of that, a shard of a reflective material. Something to note when talking about spell components, particularly. Right, I back to basics. Let's go with the basics. VSM, spell components. V is verbal, you have to be able to vocalize. S is somatic, that's your gestures with your hands. And M is material. Spells that don't have a listed cost for the material, if you have a component pouch or a focus, and most spellcasting classes get access to a focus. If you have either of those two things, you do not need to provide the material. If you do not have a component pouch or a spellcasting focus, or, and this is as written, a lot of people don't keep track of this, but if you do, it does lend, it places more importance on preparation. If your spellcasting, if a spell you want to cast has a material component with a listed cost, as written, you need to buy that item. The spell will tell you if the component is consumed. A lot of them aren't. You just need the component to hand to cast the spell. But that's what that's all about. That's what V, S, and M stand for. A note on spells that don't have a verbal component. Something that my player party discovered. If you're a spellcaster and you get into a situation where you can't breathe or talk because of being hypothetically underwater, you won't necessarily be able to cast your spells. So there we go. That's what that's all about. Duration will be instantaneous. Instantaneous. There we go. Side note. Always looks like it's spelled wrong to me. Like, always. But Google says it's correct, so I'm choosing to believe Google is correct. Google knows what it's on about. Target of the spell may make the first... Have the same problem with that word? Oh, I'm glad it's not just me. Survival... Wisdom check they make in the next hour with advantage. Hang on. No. Let's reword that. The target of the spell may make 1 survival wisdom check with advantage in the next hour. Specifically worded that way. Sorry, just have to be careful where I'm clicking. So the target of the spell may make 1 survival wisdom check with advantage in the next hour. It's worded that way to limit it, hopefully clearly, that you may only benefit from that spell once per hour. And the time limit starts when the spell is cast upon the target. Who knows if that is the case or not, but there we go. A thought has occurred to me, and I don't know where it is in the SRD. Travel pace? No. Hang on, I need to find a section in the rules to see if there is a dice roll associated with something. But I don't exactly know where it is. And I don't know what the section's called. Okay, that's magic items. Okay, exploration? I don't think it's exploration. Basically, there's a section of the SRD that covers what you can do while like traveling over land, or just traveling in general. And one of the things you can do, I think this spell could affect, but I just can never remember where that section is in the SRD. I also can never remember if it's in the Player's Handbook or the Dungeon Master's Guide, and therefore in the Player's Handbook or the Dungeon Master's Guide section of the SRD. Well, it's not that way. I'm going to give it solid 30 more seconds of me scrolling frantically through this, and then we'll continue. Hang on, is there a keyword I can steal from the ranger class? Right up, there we go. Is it just traveling? Nope. I have been bamboozled. Okay, apparently it's not adventuring. Okay. That would be great, except this is not in any way, shape, or form bookmarked. Which is fantastic as an official resource. Adventuring gear. Sorry, I'm slowly clicking through to make sure I don't miss it. Okay, so the adventuring section doesn't appear to be in the SRD. Can anyone confirm or deny? Hang on, I'm just going to get the book. Okay, so the adventuring section is in the SRD, but the character recognition doesn't pick up titles for whatever reason. I guess because that's great. Was that it? Was I just not activity while traveling? There we go. Hang on. Hang on. Oh, hang on. Am I back in the right place? There we go. What rule specifically? It's the list of things you can do while traveling, which I think aren't in the SRD for whatever reason. I don't know why my voice went up. I do apologize. That's hirelings. So in the player's handbook, it's immediately after. Yeah, okay. That's absurd. Why did. Okay, I guess I can't reference that because it's not in the SRD. That's weird. Okay. I'm confused why that was omitted, but, you know, can't reference it, so there we go. Anyway, so navigating is already covered. It wasn't a rule per se. I just wanted to know what activities you could do while traveling. I found it in the actual, you know, player's handbook. So we're all good on that front. Oh, right, Fenric. See if I can reference anything in the Fenric book to do some. Would you happen to know where in the Fenric book? That's the adventure, which I'd love to play through at some point. Monsters. Is it just the first chapter? Because that would make total sense. Obviously, as this is ideally going to tie into the to the Fenric release. So I want to tie it back to Fenric to the supplement whenever I can. This is all just Kova Kimru. Just checking bookmarks. I'm not seeing any. Okay, that's taking too long. This is something I might have to. I will put the time into when I'm. No, I just pop the PDF open. Not be Dropbox folder died. Ooh, good lord! I'm sorry to hear that your Dropbox folder died. Yeah, I'm going to continue, and then if there's an update on that, so be it. If not, it is what it is. I'm going to leave that as is for now. So, cantrips being at will spells, level 0, if you as the game sometimes refers to them. They're usually really minor effects. So, it doesn't have to do much. It's just something that is like situationally useful. You're not going to lament not knowing the cantrip if you pick another one in its place, but it's there, it's useful if you need it to be. Also, I need to put that as heading 2. So there we go, there's a divination cantrip. Thought process behind just not saying they have, giving it a duration of 1 hour, and then target the spell may make survival wisdom checks with advantage for the duration, mostly because at that point, as it's a cantrip, you should really be giving that a spell level, because it's a long, persistent, relatively powerful effect. So my thinking here, obviously feel free to shoot it down. Survival wisdom check, you're using the stars to like guide you, or initiative check is the stars are warning you. Pages 6 and 9 cover climate and environmental hazards. Hang on, just give me a check. A sec, sorry. Every time I look at the Fenrilik weather table, by the way, for those who don't know, the Frostlands of Fenrilik has a weather table. I kind of looked at it and go, what happened to spring and autumn? And then realised that, you know, it's only going to really have a summer or a winter. Actually, so I'm going to replace the initiative check with I make 1 wisdom survival check. All right. Or 1 check related to avoiding the effects of an environmental hazard. With advantage in the next hour. You misspoke as a drive that died. Oof, that's even worse. Okay, but thank you for the page numbers reference. So the idea there being, you know, a split momentary insight into the upcoming terrain, whether environmental hazards or just the actual terrain itself. Right, so fun fact about spells and naming spells. You can name them whatever you want. So if you want to, I don't know, immortalize a character that you're particularly proud of, and you are into writing community content, just saying, there's no one stopping you. No one needs to know that the spell is a reference to a character of your creation. This is how we're going to end up with the Stonejaw. Stonejaw's Ice Shield. First level evocation spell. This is very much an arcane spell, as Garth is a wizard. Sorcerer. Wizard. Right, actually, I did that wrong, didn't I? Spells in Scarred Lands have the narrative before the spell effect. Yes, they do. There's like a little history of the spell before you get into the actual crunch of the spell. Natives of the Roof of the World have been using this cantrip to avoid Fen Relic's many hazards since time immemorial. Good old Stone George Johnson in there. I should. Hey, Garth is a pure soul that everyone needs to know about, okay? I think it was Garth Stonejaw. No. So the problem is that I it's always just Garth. And his father and his father's friend set up an adventuring guild and mushed their names together, so I can never actually remember if it's Stonejaw or Stone Tusk. It might be Stone Tusk. I'm going to check, because I don't want to have egg on my face about my very own creation. And then I expect everyone to go out there and preach the good word about Garth. If you want to know more about Garth, by the way, feel free to subscribe to my Twitch channel, which I'll be streaming on after this. And I will quite happily... Is it this folder? I'll quite happily elaborate on Garth and his story. It was not that file. But the trouble is, when you have a world full of NPCs, you never remember their darn surnames. Where did it go? Iron Tusk. There we go. Stonejaw's the dwarf companion. That fits even better. Cracks fingers, prepares to wax lyrical about precious, precious soul. Yeah, he's a half-orc wizard. Whatever. So again, always, I mean, for me, you'll have noticed, I've said it before, including this very stream, narrative is incredibly important to me, and it is a really good way about getting across. Yeah, it's just a good way about getting across the intent of a spell or class feature or item without having to have, you know, paragraphs of text to clarify. Heck it, I'm British, we're using UK English. We'll just say caravan. No, traveling companions. Sorry, it's just faster for me to type this stuff out silently and then, you know, read it back for accessibility purposes. Fiction of the spell. When Garth Irontusk journeyed to Fenric in his search for goods, he was dismayed to find an alarming lack of Abjuris to protect his travelling companions. In an effort to defend those whose services he had hired, he adapted his own magical talent to suit the frigid environment. Okay, so I believe when a spell is a ritual, it's like first level evocation brackets ritual. But I could be wrong. I don't tend to create ritual spells, so you know, I'm just gonna SRD tiny hut. Yeah, it is cool. Also, that should be hyphenated. So going back to what I said earlier about spell slots and expending spell slots to cast spells. Certain spells have the ritual tag. Not every spellcaster can cast a ritual. But a spell that is cast as a ritual takes 10 minutes longer than it ordinarily would, but you don't expend a spell slot to cast it. Also, depending on your spellcasting class, you may be able to cast ritual spells that you do not have prepared. This is certainly the case with, I believe, the wizard. The wizard can cast ritual spells that are in their spellbook. They don't have to have them prepared. Whereas I believe clerics and druids can only cast ritual spells they have prepared. But I could be wrong about that. Anyway, so that's how rituals work. Casting time is one action. Let's say 1 minute, because it's going to have a vaguely chunky effect. It has a verbal, and let's just go verbal and material. Let's mix it up a little. Material cost being a shard of ice. Range is 20 feet. Duration is 8 hours. You cast the spell, choose a, let's say choose up to 3 creatures. Not wearing heavy armor. Those creatures receive a +2 bonus to their AC and a hang on, let's just use proper wording. Rather than me trying to think of the wording, let's just find it properly. Really? Okay. I'm going the wrong way through this. That's my problem. Well, that's not great. I think heavy armor might have the wording I need. Those creatures receive... Right, I before E, except after C. So +2 bonus to their AC and... Speed is reduced by 10 feet. Whilst this effect... while the spell is active. The AC bonus and the speed reduction are removed when the spell expires or the creature, let's say, takes... Okay, so the wording of this is I know it's in the game, I just can't think where it is in the game. An amount of fire damage equal to or greater than your spell save DC. From a single attack at any one time. There are similar things in the rules, as I say. I just can't think where they would be for example purposes. I'm just going to say from a single attack. Nope. Damage roll. Because sometimes you just take damage without being attacked. Obviously, a lot of homebrew and community content writing is assuming good faith. You should never assume bad faith from players. But when you can close loopholes, if you're also inclined to do so, without overly complicating matters, just go for it. So the original wording you could interpret, like 99% of players wouldn't, but you could interpret it as meaning if you say stepped into lava which doesn't attack you, the shield remains. But if you got hit by firebolt, which does require an attack roll, the shield would then be damaged, or removed, I should say. But tying it to the damage roll instead of the attack roll, it just nips that in the bud. But as I say, you should not assume bad faith. Always, for a more enjoyable experience, certainly, write assuming good faith, and the players aren't out to ruin what you've written, or break it, or otherwise abuse it. But there we go. Also, for this elemental steed, does anyone have a character they want immortalized? I say immortalized, no one's going to buy this nonsense. I mean, I hope they will, obviously, but there we go. Ooh. I had an idea for an Aurora-based spell, but unfortunately it kind of treads on the toes of Hypnotic Pattern. Oh, also a thought about why this is a first level spell, not higher. This is also already the upcasting, right? At higher levels. So I chose up to 3 creatures. Going back to the don't create a spell that reinvents the wheel. I chose up to 3 creatures because that is sorry, need to B0 feet. Because Bless also... So Bless is a first level spell, gives you D4 to attack rolls and saving throws. And targets 3 creatures when you cast it. And I wanted something you could upcast. Again, that's casting something at a higher level for a benefit. Bold and italicized. And there's no formatting issues there whatsoever. What the actual F SRD? Yeah, I wanted something you could upcast. I wanted it to be a buff. And there is a spell, first level spell, that gives you a +2 bonus to your AC. I want to say it's called Shield of Faith. That is a concentration spell. That keyword I'll get into. Let's do a concentration effect for concentration spell for second level. Anyway, yes. I chose not to give it the concentration drawback and instead just gave it a speed reduction drawback. One, because thematically, if you're covered in a layer of ice, that feels to me like you're going to be slowed by that because you're going to be less mobile or less flexible. and so I didn't want to have two drawbacks to the spell, with it being, a concentration spell and a, speed reduction. Also, I wanted it to last a while. It's like hey, it's the start of the adventuring day. I'm going to protect my allies. I'm going to partially snap freeze them. They're going to be fine. Don't worry about it. And by the end of the day, they'll be fine. And a concentration effect lasting 8 hours is not without precedent, I believe, but is annoying and limiting, to say the least. So that's why I replaced the drawback with the speed reduction. And then I just thought it would be thematically cool if fire damage removed the effect. So there we go. And then at high levels, I just copy-pasted the wording from Bless, because A, it's in the SRD, and B, it's applicable here, because I wanted something you could upcast to demonstrate upcasting and how you can have the effects of upcasting. Okay, so a concentration effect. Concentration effects, you cast the spell, and it lasts up to its duration, or when you stop concentrating on it. You can stop concentrating on it freely whenever you want. The most common form of you stopping concentrating, however, is you fail a concentration check. When you take damage, you must make a Constitution saving throw equal to 10, or half the damage taken, whichever is greater. And if you fail, you lose concentration on the spell. You may only have one concentration spell active at a time. So it's a way of... Concentration is one of those attributes, traits, if you want, that allows you to have a powerful spell at lower levels. So I'm going to say Blinding Aurora. And this will be an illusion spell. This will be on the... This seems very much a druid thing. Let's say druid and cleric, because it's about light as well. And, stuff from the heavens. Casting time. Right, casting time. I didn't explain casting times. So your 5e uses an action economy. On your turn in combat, you have an action, attack, cast a spell, that kind of thing. A bonus action, usually some minor thing that you can do. Some spells have a bonus action casting time, but have a limited effect. They have a lesser effect because of it, because it's just it's a faster, smaller thing. You have a reaction once per round, which you do out of your turn. You can do it on your turn if you have something that triggers your reaction. And then you can, move. Spells generally have a casting time of action, bonus action, reaction, and then 1 minute, 10 minutes, 1 hour, etc. There is, I think, one with a 24-hour casting time, which obviously you need to prepare for, but there we go. This will last. This will be a one-action thing. Range, self, 10-foot sphere. I guess I forgot to space that one. Again, let's have verbal and material cost. The material cost being a diamond. Whoops. Worth 150 GP. Why not? It does not consume it. If the spell were to consume it, it would say here which the spell consumes. Duration is... concentration goes first, to tell you that it is a concentration spell. Fun fact, if you bought spell cards for, D&D 5th edition itself, the first printing of most of the spell cards did not include the concentration keyword on any of the spells. It was great. Also, the cards were so sharp on the corners you could cut yourself with them quite easily. But there we go. That's, by the by. You didn't really need to know that. But a bit of hobby history, I guess, as something to talk about. I feel like I've worded that incorrectly. Hang on, give me a second. Please scroll. Please bear with me as I fix my horrendous mistake. There we go. No one knows who first. Sorry. Silence lets me type faster and with fewer typos. But again, I know some people have this on the background while doing other stuff, so I guess I'll break what I did earlier. No one knows who first thought to use the Horror of the Polar Night offensively. But those who have mastered the spell swear by its use against the Scarai and the other dangers that await unwary and wary. Wart is not wary. You heard it here first. Travellers out on the ice. Or out on the snow. Again, these narratives will probably be altered slightly when I do editing stuff. Casting time, 1 action, range self, 10 foot radius for components, verbal and material, diamond with 150 gold pieces, duration, concentration 1 minute. When you cast the spell, every creature within the sphere must attempt a Constitution saving throw. You know what? I think I can get away with saying succeed at a Constitution saving throw, or be blinded, because there's no there's no, like, there's only one effect here. There isn't a this happens or like this half of this happens on a success. It's just you're either blinded or not. So I think I can use my succeeded Constitution saving throw or be blinded until the start of your next turn. For the duration of the spell, you may would this really be a 2nd level spell with this effect? Yeah, I think it's fine. It's a concentration spell. And it's only got a 10 foot range, which it affects every creature. So unless you're going to be diving into a group of allies of enemies unsupported, you're going to potentially get your allies with this as well. Yeah, I'm good with this being a 2nd level spell. To trigger that effect. Okay. There we go. It's short, it's simple, it's blinding. My hair is in my mouth. So I think I'm okay with that being a 2nd level spell. It's got a concentration. It's a concentration spell, so it's going to be more powerful than a 2nd level spell would ordinarily be. Requires a component. I also wanted to demonstrate bonus action usage, so I did. Maybe I should say... No, I think generally you're assumed to be immune to the effects of your own spells. I think. I'm just going to accept you. There we go. I think that should be this effect again. I think. Yes, because it follows on from the effect, so this works fine. So does anyone have a wizard they want to a wizard name they'd like to attribute, or a spellcaster's name they'd like to attribute summon elemental seed to? Because I'll just replace summon with the spellcaster's name. Traveling the length and breadth of. Otherwise, I'm just going to use another of my wizards. So, Fen Relic is no easy task, even for creatures adapted to the biting cold. Messenger business was revitalized when XX, insert wizard name here. Creatures there now. Right. Dispensable? No, dispensable. That's a word I don't write very often, so I apologize for not spelling it correctly the first time. For conjuring a steed from the very snow itself. This seems very much a wizard spell. Let's say bard and wizard. Let's just go all arcane spellcasters. I think those are the three, right? I mean, warlock is its own thing. But this will also be a ritual. Oh, I could just make it paladin only, but then that's really limiting it. It also changes the narrative of the spell, which I wanted it to be utilitarian. I'm good with bot. I can just add paladin. You know what? I'll just add paladin. There we go. I'll add paladin. I'll get rid of sorcerer. Oh god, what's my other half-orc wizard's name? Apparently I'm on a trend with my half-orc wizards. You know what, let's respect the lore here. Let's find half-orc names. I assume there's a list of them in the Scarred Lands Player's Guide. Or in the Yulkman's Appendix, which is what I'm checking first. Well, I guess it'd be orcs, right? Based on how they... I was sorely mistaken. To the Player's Guide. There we go. Curses, there's no family names given. I guess I'm free to do whatever I want. Well, in that case, let's go with... I don't want a ridiculously edgy, gritty name. Let's step away from the orcs. Let's go for something else. Bard, Paladin, Wizard. So I've already used one of my wizards. My Paladin wouldn't make sense. Hey, can anyone remember what the bard in the Dead Man's Rust Meat Grinder game I played on this channel? Can anyone remember what my bard was called? I think it was Ethelred, and I never gave them a surname, which sucks. Is there any guidance given on Hollow Legionnaire names? I mean, obviously there are given names, but okay, okay. So, sorry, I'm just now frantically scrolling through Anglo-Saxon surnames. Some of these are amusing and not at all relevant. Why are there so many? I do like how some of these have really like cool meanings, and others are just this name was taken from the place it was where people lived. None of these sound or feel right in my brain. Never mind. That one works. Jubos can't even remember my middle name, less than a character name. That's fine. Widowkin's Elemental Steed. I will try to rewatch the that meat grinder and update the name as appropriate. But I think it was Ethelred or Etheldred. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I went Anglo-Saxon with it. Anyway, it's the problem with only playing a character for a one shot. I think Ice Rack is a thing, right? Ice Rack Dragon. That sounds right. Where's my appendix Titan Spawn? There we go. Rack Dragon. Yeah, Ice Rack's a thing. It's not hyphenated though, it's all one word. Also, I've just noticed my Player's Guide PDF has got a texture loading issue. That's amusing. Yeah, the character name is just Hey You over there. Traveling the length and breadth of Fenric is no easy task, even for creatures adapted to the biting cold. The messenger business was revitalized when Ethelred Widukind created their now indispensable spell for conjuring a Sneed from the very snow itself in an effort to outrun a particularly aggressive Ice Rack dragon. So you can cast it as a ritual spell, or you can cast it as an action. Range, I guess, 10 feet? Then, yeah. It will require verbal, somatic, and material components. Strand of horsehair in a stoppered vial. So it won't be a concentration spell. Hang on, I'm just gonna look at the spell that I'm going to be blatantly ripping off for this. Hey, where's Find Steed? I believe that is a second level spell. Casting time is 10 minutes, so that's what this casting time will be. Fine Steed, not a ritual though. Range 30 feet. Okay, so it's an instantaneous duration. Gotcha. Again, I think that's how you spell that word. Yeah, we're all good. And then we copy this, we make it the right size, and we edit it as required. Because I don't want to reinvent the wheel when the wording exists already. I'm simply making a variation of the spell. Right, I need to know where paragraphs are. Speak, steed, maximum, and telepathically. Oops. Speak. Those are where the paragraphs are. I'll just add an extra line in for readability. Is that right? Yes. Okay. Summon a spirit assumes the form of an unusually intelligent, strong, and loyal steed, creating a long-lasting... Why is that an M dash? That should not be an M dash. Long-lasting bond with it. Appearing in an unoccupied space within range, the steed takes on the form that you choose. A warhorse, pony, camel, an elk, or a mastiff. Steed has the statistics of the chosen form, though it is an elemental. Though it is an elemental of its normal type. Instead of its normal type, sorry. When you cast the spell, can choose the type of elemental your steed is. From the following list. Ice. So it's obviously going to be solid. Say material your steed is comprised of. From the following list. So ice covers snow, obsidian covers fire. What else is there? Ice covers water, sorry. So there's air and there's earth. Well, obviously stone for earth. Solidified air. What the heck would solidified air be? Unless you literally just ride a cloud. Which, you know, maybe. Actually, yes. Alphabetize this list. Oops. Your steed has no weight and gains a flying speed of 20 feet. Let's give it one thing and then damage resistances and stuff. Solidified air equals aerogel? True. I'm not sure aerogel exists in Fenrir. It has... You know what? As very few things in 5th edition have vulnerability to force damage, all of these things, I think these steeds are going to have vulnerability to force damage. Alright, so force damage is like just pure kinetic energy, which I could see shattering ice, obsidian, stone, and dispersing a cloud. So yeah, these things are all going to have vulnerability to force damage and resistance to a different damage type. Let's say Well, this will be to non-magical attacks from slashing from, you know, to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. When you cast a spell, you can choose the material your steed is composed of from the following list. Each material alters the statistics of your steed. That's weirdly worded. I don't like it. Make it stop. You can choose the materials. Speed is comprised of, comma, to alter its in-game statistics. Comma, from the following list. That sort of works. I don't know. Ice. Let's see. What would being made of ice? The material determines the attributes of the steed. I like that. I like that. It's more the leading into the list side of things. Oh, cool. No, I've got it. Thank you. Material determines the attributes of the steed in the manner, let's say alters the attributes of the steed in the manner described in the following list. I might put a spell component, strand of horsehair, and a fragment doesn't really work with the cloud. Let's just say piece of the material you wish your steed to be made of. Okay, ice. Steed speed increases by, let's say, 10 feet. Has vulnerability to thunder damage and resistance to fire damage. Let's say vulnerability to thunder damage, resistance to fire damage, and is immune to cold damage. Takes normal weapon damage. Does a strand of horsehair need to be in a stoppered vial? Yes, it does. I have no real way of explaining why, but the way I envisage this spell is you kind of like pack the vial into the material you want to make the steed from, and then it kind of grows around that. It's just a cool idea that's the only way I have of narratively conveying. Also, please note, I've immediately stepped away from everything having vulnerability to force damage. I'm just like that. I'm capricious. I'm whimsical. I am also aware of the time. I just want to get this spell finished. Also, it's not really like something after me. I feel like we should give the Cloud Steed immunity to something. I thought was that a moment of need you might have the Horsehair in hand but not having to stop at Vile. Well, that's the point, right? Spell. If you don't have the arcane focus or the component pouch, then you have to have the right component. You have to be prepared. Also, my hair keeps going in my mouth and it's horrible. Right. Obsidian. Let's say whenever a creature that isn't you. I much prefer saying starts their turn, but with how easy it is to get a component pouch or a spell focus, really the material component of a spell is meaningless unless it has a monetary value. Whenever a creature that isn't you starts their turn adjacent to the steed, they take how to scale the damage. XD4 damage, piercing damage, slashing damage, where X equals... Oh, sorry, fire damage, I guess. Where X equals your proficiency bonus. Take fire damage equal to the... Yeah, I'm just going to use that. XD4 fire damage, where X is equal to your proficiency bonus. Minimum of 1. As this is a third level spell rather than the second, that's why I want to give the steed some slight bonuses, I guess. Steed has... I think the game words it as has vulnerability, and it's not is vulnerable to. Well, makes sense for Obsidian. I don't want to... bludgeoning damage, maybe? Yeah, let's just go with that. Yeah. I'll specify magical bludgeoning damage, though, because otherwise anyone with a hammer can break it. And it is a magical... It is the effect of a spell, after all. Has vulnerability to magical bludgeoning damage. Resistance. I'm just going to copy the one... let's say to cold damage. And I don't want to repeat damage, vulnerability, resistance, or immunity. So there we go. And stone. I mean, I think we have the steed being heavier, but tanky. Obsidian like glass is brittle if the sample is pure will resonate as it's shattered with a loud sound. Yeah, that's what I figured. So I was thinking maybe thunder damage in place of bludgeoning, but I've used thunder there, so I'm happy with that way around. Right, stone. Your steed is twice as heavy as it ordinarily would be. Yeah, I guess it just increases hit point, its AC, but its AC is increased by... Is 4 too much? Let's say 3. Let's say 3. It has vulnerability to... no, sonic damage isn't a thing. It's all thunder damage in D&D. In the core rules, anyway. Obviously, there are rules hacks out there that change damage types. You know what? Let's say acid damage. Let's mix it up and have some acid damage in the mix. Resistance to thunder damage. Oops. And lightning damage. Like, these I might change in editing, I'll be honest. Additionally, if your steed is intelligence 5 or less, its intelligence becomes 6 and gains the ability to understand one language of your choice that you speak. Your steed serves you as a mount, both in combat and out. You have an instinctive bond that allows you to fight as a seamless unit. When mounted on a steed, you can make any spell you cast that targets only you, also target your steed. Speed drops to 0 hit points and disappears, leaving behind no physical form. You can also dismiss your steed at any time as an action going to disappear. In that case, casting the spell against him as the same steed restore it to its hit point maximum. While your steed is within 1 mile, if you can communicate with it telepathically, you can have more than one steed bonded by the spell at a time. As an action, you can release the steed from its bond at any time, causing it to disappear. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Let's get rid of ritual. That's not a ritual spell anymore. Iron Tusk Sky Shield is a ritual, so that covers it. Okay, so we come to the end of the show. I'm probably not going to do any more spells. A cantrip first, second, and third level is fine. Divination, Evocation, Illusion, and Conjuration. They're all different spells. They're all different schools. Not unless anyone particularly wants me to do a spell for each spell level, which I technically could do. I might have a think about potential magical items to do before the next stream. I might tackle some a magical item or two. And then, obviously, we've got the Geist and the Ursid, so I really need to start preparing myself mentally for what each paragraph needs for that. Although, happily, Scardlands has it all laid out really nicely with subtitles, so that's good. But there we go. Today's stream has been creating spells. Hopefully, it's been mildly interesting. I don't profess to know everything about making spells or magic items or classes, subclasses, anything, but hopefully at this point I'm aware. I know enough to sound like I know what I'm talking about without being egregiously wrong at the same time. As ever, if you have any lingering questions, you feel free. I am on Twitter as Comrade Bubbles. I am on Twitch as Comrade Bubbles. Feel free to reach out via any of those avenues if you have any questions or just want to talk about stuff. And if you came in at the end and you'd like to see anything that happened before you came in, unfortunately you'll have to wait a week if you're not a subscriber to the twitch.tv/OnyxPath, the Onyx Path, there we go. As subscribers get 1 week of exclusivity, plus some cool emotes, plus access to a super secret Discord channel on the Onyx Path Discord server, the link for which is in the chat right now. Discord.gg/EYSXEVY. As I mentioned at the top of this, you know what, actually I'll end the YouTube recording here because I'm just going to be recapping things now. So YouTube, hopefully it is super secret. You can only see it if you're a subscriber to the channel. It's that super secret. It's like a secret club. YouTube, please, if you have any thoughts, comments, whatever, leave them in the comments below. Consider subscribing to me on YouTube. Consider catching the show live on Twitch, maybe. It's usually every two Tuesdays, or every second Tuesday at 9 AM EDT, or, you know, when time zones change, 9 AM EST. Sometimes 10, because it's actually 2 PM British, whatever the time zone is in Britain at the time, British summer, or Greenwich Mean. But always, obviously, check the Monday meeting notes, which I'm about to explain again. So YouTube, thank you for watching. Please do stay safe, healthy, and awesome, and hopefully, wholesome. Hopefully, and awesome, I guess. Hopefully you can catch the show live at some point, YouTube.